The next palace is actually right here on this island at the far east portion, and we can actually navigate our way towards it right now. However, we can't really do much because we need to learn a new spell from one of the towns that we haven't visited yet, and in order to beat the boss of this upcoming dungeon, we need that spell. So leave Maze Island, navigate around it the way I came in so you don't run into scenes, cross the bridge, and now let's begin heading west. There's going to be no new enemies now at this point since we've faced all the new enemies. They're just going to be repeating. There's a lot of those Gyro Boko guys in this area, as you can see, and they're a little annoying to try to level up through them. My suggestion would be to just avoid them or use the downward thrust if you really want to defeat them. There's a few side scenes here in a row. Here we have some moving blue Octoroks. You want to be careful because you don't want to get hit and then fall into the water here. Otherwise, you will lose your life. So just be careful. This one isn't that difficult. You're going to see a similar scene in just a bit, which is a heck of a lot more difficult, and we'll see that in just a second. Each of these Octoroks actually give you 20 experience points, so that sort of adds up, which is kind of nice. Here we are. This is the exact same scene we were just in, except now it has these incredibly annoying bubbles coming from the ground. So it makes it even more dangerous when you're jumping over the water. So just really try to be careful. You don't want to waste your lives, basically, in this cutscene, because we're going to need them later on, I suppose. So, and plus, I'm so close to upgrading right now. So getting game over when you're really low is really bad. Anyway, here we are at the next town, and it is the mountain town of Darunia. And it actually makes sense since Ocarina of Time, Darunia was one of the Gorons, and here he is as, basically it's in the mountain. Anyway, head through town, you can talk to some of the townsfolk, just like usual, and eventually just, another lady here. You must save Hyrule. I love when they say that. This one turns into like an enemy for whatever reason. You must. It's great. The palace has a false wall. Just some advice about the upcoming palace. Here's a little trick. You would find out later in the village that there's something hidden in this village. But if you use the jump spell, you can actually jump on top of the roofs here. And if you make your way all the way back to the right, you can actually press down and fall into the chimney. It's kind of cool, actually. The door is actually locked from the outside, so our only way in is through the chimney. And inside, it's not an old man, but rather a strong knight. And it says when you jump, press up to stab. And just as the downward stab stabs downward when we jump and press down, this is the upward stab. We just jump and press up. It is not nearly as useful as the downward stab. It actually is quite, well, it's I don't end up using it that much. Only when I have blocks above me that I need to break. So I suppose it's okay. It's a nice new extra ability, but it's not exactly vital. If you continue along, though, you can talk to this woman here, and she says, "You are a hero for saving my child. Come." And in Maze Island, when we found the lost child, this is apparently her child. I have no idea where Link is carrying this child. It's rather disturbing just thinking about that. But I guess it's just in his inventory. Anyway, you can finally speak with the old man here, and this magic will strengthen a shield. And this is the reflex spell. And basically it acts just as the name sounds. It's a reflex spell, and it'll reflect certain magical powers, basically, that are shot at Link. It's necessary in the upcoming dungeon to defeat the boss. So you can continue along. One of the children here says, "A powerful knight lives in this town." That's good. We already met that knight. That's where we learned the upward thrust. That's pretty much all there is to do in Darunia. We got a new spell and a new ability. So now we are ready to tackle the next palace. But we first have to make our way, a lengthy way, pretty much across the overworld to get there. You have to go back through these two scenes, and again, it's a lot easier I find going from left to right because you're jumping downwards rather than upwards. So it's still a hazard in a way. The whole idea of falling in the water, so you don't want to do that, but it's not as difficult. I finally upgraded my life. I'm now at level 7, so you should be somewhere around. I'm at 5, 6, 7 for the 3 of them. At this point, like I said, it gets much more difficult to upgrade through leveling up your experience, especially even after I get that next 3000 update, and it really adds up. So to the point where it's like, as opposed to the beginning of the game when we were getting 3-4 upgrades between dungeons, now it's basically you get 1 upgrade plus the boss upgrade, plus you get the auto upgrade once you beat the boss. There's a couple dealers here in that little scene. Just get rid of them, and now we want to make our way back towards Maze Island. Like I said, these enemies, you could avoid them, could use their downward thrust. They don't really give you enough experience points to be worthy of your time. Try to avoid some enemies, but I just keep running into them. I have this tendency where if I hit them once, I want to hit them and finish them off. It's like, I'm halfway there, so why not continue? Just continue along, and here I ran into a scene in the sand, so I found more levers, and these guys I actually enjoy killing for whatever reason. I get some rush out of using the downward thrust and defeating enemies. It's like, stab. Anyway, cross the bridge finally to get to Maze Island, and now you want to follow the exact path that I follow. This way you only actually go through one scene that has some enemies. So this is very useful or actually 2 scenes, sort of. One scene will actually be where we had just gotten the magic container. If you didn't get the magic container, you'll get it right now. It'll just be sitting on the right over there. That would be the 7th magic container, and there's only 8 in the game, so there's only 1 more left by my math. So 7 magic containers is very helpful actually, because especially moving forward, the life spell is becoming more and more important, and that extra magic and plus upgrading your magic helps that. Here's the one scene we have to run into. There's a couple Zora here, so use your fire spell, and because of they're right next to each other and they come up and down at the same time, they're not that hard or annoying to defeat. So just use the spell to defeat them, and here we have a Tektite. So use your you have the fire spell already. You've already used it, so you can defeat these Tektites and make your way through. Now that's pretty much the only sequence you need to go through. There's numerous similar sequences where you fight a lot of those. Zoras, a lot of those Tektites. So you can actually go through this island if you'd like, but it's completely unnecessary. That'll do it for this section. Join me next time and we'll actually tackle Maze Island Dungeon.